Okay. I also sat down and I watched a film called Belle.
Mm-hmm.
Did.
Any of you guys seen seen Belle? You heard of that? Heard of it?
I heard of it yesterday when you told me that I should watch it before the podcast, and then I didn't have time to.
Okay.
That's where I heard of it.
Well, I watched it, and that was an anime, and it turned out that actually it's on Netflix and it's on like Amazon Prime and such, but if you're in Canada, go fuck yourself, of course. But
Oh, goody.
thankfully, it was available for rent on YouTube, so I rented it on YouTube and I did watch, and that is a beautiful animated film. That is a very pretty anime that was quite nice and pleasant and enjoyable. Um, I I hear
I
that you
noticed you're
may.
spending some time praising its visuals. Are you doing that because it sounded like shit?
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on.
So the colorful brilliance of the intro sequence, it was almost like paprika in Satoshi Kon's brilliance of the color composition. I was really blown away by that, especially when the whale, and
Yeah.
the depiction of the digital world. It was a
That
triumph.
3D anime is actually coming. It's coming. It's getting there. Yeah, good stuff.
Um, yeah, so it's about music,
How about that voice acting though, man?
Oh,
Voice
oh
acting.
man.
The marketing was amazing. Like it
Oh,
was
I love you,
everywhere.
man. Oh, this is great. Oh,
I hear great stuff about the HR department at Studio Cheesy that did the movie. Saw the producer on TV talking about the movie. He seems like a really nice guy.
good producer,
Like
not bad,
a good producer.
good
Yeah.
thing. I hear there was an excellent craft table, good spread.
Yeah.
Good st- uh, man,
ugh.
Yeah.
of course, when Skies of Song is happening, and you're having the what I'll describe as the la 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 moment. You feel it. You get all you. It's right there, in your chest. I got the heavy chest. I felt it. No, the soundtrack was lovely, Ludvig. It was incredible. There's a very honestly, I'm surprised that, like, again, just it's the type of thing where I'm like, fuck, I really wish this was like not like blocked in on Netflix in Canada or so. I wish it was like more easily accessible, but um yeah, no, it was great. I really feel kind of dumb because about 40 minutes in, I think it took me actually seeing the ballroom from Beauty and the Beast to go, oh, they're doing
Are you serious?
it's a, I didn't, I didn't.
It's the fucking name of the thing.
It's right there. It's right there, and yet,
It's not Belle Delphine. It's
no,
the other Belle.
no, which
That'd
is,
be
and
a
it's
very different movie with a
yes,
much weirder soundtrack.
no,
You'd be surprised how many people were commenting on that, and so she's got pink hair too.
No,
no,
what
but no,
Yeah, it's embarrassing, honestly.
is
but
there like a bath scene?
not really.
No, like
No,
when the trailers came out.
um,
Jesus Christ, society is fucked.
now,
Yep.
the yeah, the actual e in the spelling, like, as in like Belle as in Belle, is part of it is it's that it's left off as well in context because her name is Suzu, which is like Japanese for like ring ring bell type of thing. So it's played for a little like double entendre, you know. Um, but yeah, the honestly, what was really, and it was the type of thing where it's like this is perfect couple watching film, I would say as well. Um, but
Sure.
what was really funny and what made me feel my age is that it's also I'm gonna say this is very much targeting a Zoomer and post Zoomer generation in that I felt that the introduction of it's of the so there's obviously there's your characters, there's everything happening in real life, and then there's a social media aspect to it, and social media plays a mirror role to what you're seeing, and the parts of it where like I would look at moments of like social media crisis and or digital like anxiety, and I would be like, okay, time to just go offline, time to walk away from the phone, put the thing down, time to pull a Tyler the Creator and just turn the screen off and leave it alone, right? But in the world of the characters of these kids who absolutely are reflective of modern kids, there is no walking away from that. That is your world, right? Like being online, being a part of that digital, you know, being a part of the your social media with your friends, and counting up every like as your photo is uploaded, and then finding the friend that didn't like it fast enough and then going and asking them, why do you hate me, is absolutely something that like is real. If you watch The Social Dilemma, it talks about like that level of entrenched social media with, you know, the internet generation. And I know that you combine that with kind of like Nico Nico as well, and like the more Japanese side of things, and it's like, oh yeah, no, like the message boards, the school message boards, the classroom stuff, all of that is, it's a part of your life. It's not even like separating it from you is possible at all, you know.
Right.
So that's a foregone conclusion for a lot of younger people, and like this movie is in that lens. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
To me, it makes sense because I I was there when we made it, and it was one of the it was one of the concepts, you know.
Yeah, I'm
It's
more like, am
literally
I
the
off
thing
on
that
this or
was
okay?
yeah.
What?
Okay, all
What?
right.
What was it like? Do you really feel that you nailed the post Zoomer aesthetic?
I just wrote the music, man. I didn't give a fuck about that. No, honestly though, you at some point as a composer, you have to be honest with yourself and be like, I wrote what I felt fit the scene and blah blah blah.
Bro,
You
Hmm.
can't. It's not all
I
about like, oh, I needed to get into the mindset of a fucking
I
Zoomer because I can't
I
do
am
that.
so fucking in love with that answer. I appreciate it so goddamn much. I'm
Yeah,
so like, what were you feeling? Like, I thought the music was gonna sound good when we put it on the scene that was there.
dude. So many composers out there like trying to explain where they're coming from with it. Sometimes you just come up with something that like sounds good and cool and you like it and you want to make sure it gets into the thing you're
Are
making.
you telling me you didn't move to the rural Japanese countryside for a year and live as a high school student to get
um
inspired?
no, but honestly, uh so me and two other guys were the main composers for this film, and the head guy who was basically like in charge of um talking to the director and everything, Taisei-san actually did go to the like village pictured in the film and the bridge that you see them walking over, and he sat down, and that's where he wrote like his main song that's in the film. So
That's a real place.
it's a real place,
Okay.
and that's the thing that he did, and I was like, wow, you okay? I guess you have the time and money to do that, but it turned out he made one of the best songs for the film doing that. So
The,
sometimes it works. I'm not saying that
of
like every
course.
once in a while,
Of
like
course.
you have to sit down and conceptualize before writing music, but
Hmm.
like um getting into the head of a Zoomer, not a thing that I did for this film.
Right. I mean, it's also like from what we've heard about production, like Koji Pro also went around the world and went to locations to scout things before like coming back to recreate them digitally, right? Which when you're going that meticulous in detail, of course, you want to get as much in reference as possible, so that just makes sense.
Yeah, when you're talking about being authentic, you got to do your groundwork, your research, and all that, for sure.
But yeah, that was definitely the one standout thing, as like as an adult kind of watching the story, and and again, like Punch Mom as well, we were both kind of like, yeah, there's a like a feeling of being like handcuffed to your digital self, that comes with like kids these days, and like and probably like reducing that exposure, or proposing that exposure gets reduced might elicit an even worse reaction, depending on how bad the situation is, of course. So I feel that like if you're someone living in that reality, this is gonna very much fit what your day to day, like every mandatory online experience is like.
We're going to have emails later. So, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast and you are fully current or post-Zoomerist utopia, you can write in and tell us, if you've watched this film, if it adequately described your life status in terms of the social media.
If you were born after the year 2000.
Is that a Zoomer?
I mean, that's a quick way to
I don't know what it is. I don't know what the generations are anymore.
Yeah. I think that's like the raw simple cutoff.
Ludwig, how old are you?
I was born in '87, so I'm.
Okay, so you're younger than me.
Yeah,
you're right. We're all right in this horrible millennial fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's garbage.
Anybody who can easily count their birthday by looking at the year it is, minus 1 or 2 and or so is going to be included in that. But yes, no. That being said, when you get the chance, check that out, Pat. I think.
Is the movie good?
Yeah, it is. It is good.
Good movie.
It is a good movie.
Okay, good.
Did you watch the English version or Japanese version of it?
So the version that was available for rent was the English version.
Okay. Well, it needs to be said that we're very happy with the English version as well, because we had the opportunity to actually go and record Kylie, who did the English Suzu and Belle, record her songs in New York with her.
Oh, cool.
And it's the one version where we had like full control over.
Nice.
Outside of the Japanese version, so I got to translate the lyrics and everything. So, good times. And I feel like the English version is a strong version as well. Though I'm usually for anything anime, I obviously, since I speak Japanese, I always go for the Japanese versions.
Yeah, that is.
Well, you worked more on the dub, so the dub then is what you're saying.
No, I obviously worked even more on the Japanese one, but there's also like a Romanian, German, Polish, and like Norwegian version of it.
Okay.
Those are not versions that I'm commonly familiar with getting dubs at all. That's cool.
It's weird, right? And like Chinese and that also, I think. But for those, we because of COVID, partly we weren't able to be as much of a part of the music production or music localization production.
Okay, so they just kind of handled the not just the dubbing, but the like rearrangement of the music as well. Yeah, okay.
We did one of those like Disney localization packages where they like just basically needed to do things in a certain order in a certain way, and it would sound right.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my preference is to go with like the language of the original, and like thing.
Yeah, and
whatever
you
that
like to
might be.
kneel in front of your television while you watch it.
God, bleed from my goddamn calves and knees while I do so. Yes.
It's the only real way, Woolie. Come on.
Yeah, that's
But
they don't have surfacing.
yeah, but no, I in this case, with that, I felt it. Yeah, the dub was more than fine. It was very solid. It was good. The translation of the subtitles, we had to turn that off because it was transliterating the Japanese versus
Oh
the
shit.
dub, and they don't match up at a certain point at multiple points where you can see something that is again like more of a direct anime translation or so, and then they summarized it, or like, oh, what did she say at one point? I think Suzu's best friend refers to someone as like getting served or something. There's a couple of moments of just like, oh yeah, and there's the localized lingo that is not at all going to show up in the subtitles. Getting dragged. Excuse me, someone gets dragged in English, but not in Japanese. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, why would you have those subtitles on to begin with?
It was again by default, but it's just like, yeah, okay.
Right.
I also have to say, since I've been streaming and LPing for so long, I watch everything with subtitles on, even stuff in languages that I already speak, because it's kind of become the default for me.
It helps in a lot of cases, but what was it? Squid Games is another example where, what you're reading and well, at least in English, what they were saying is just off. But in that case, I'd say, don't watch it dubbed if you can avoid it, right?
Right.
Oh, the Squid Game dub is fucking crazy. It's fucking nuts. It's like a whole different beast.
I think I told the story about I loaned my friend Old Boy on DVD, and she watched it and went like, yeah, it was okay, I guess, but wasn't anything special. And in the course of the conversation, we kind of realized that by popping it in and just pressing play, it plays dubbed automatically. And the dub for Old Boy spoils the movie itself well before it gets to like its third act, And it's just like, how to butcher your own product, by having a bad dub. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. So.
Also, you know who you can blame for people like me using too many subtitles? You can blame Chris Nolan for making multiple movies back to back in which you can't understand what a single character is saying, even though they're talking in like an empty hotel room.
Yeah. That's the whole conversation. Talking about.
Hey, do you think this is a dream? What? What? Fucking. There's no background fucking soundtrack to the scene. How did I not understand you?
That being said, if it's directed by Guy Ritchie, turn the fucking subtitles on.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't go round and round the Rero.
That's not real, Woolie.
But what if you're wrong? Anyway, so that was all
No
great.
idea what he's talking about.
That's exactly the point.
I'm in a funny situation where I watch everything with subtitles, but like I have to have either Japanese or Korean subtitles for my wife who doesn't really speak English.
Okay.
And that means that we cannot watch anything that's not either Japanese, Korean, or English because, well, I mean, I could watch stuff with Japanese subtitles, but I zone out. So like whenever there's like a really good European film, I either have to watch it myself or like sit through it with Japanese subtitles because we can't watch it with English subtitles, and we're not gonna watch a fucking dub in English.
Right.
Korean subtitles. That's just not happening, especially for like artsy films or whatever. But that being said, I watch everything with subtitles too in the end because of that partly. But
come to think of it, Paige is the same way. She has like whispering and like low mumbling dialogue, which has become the norm. has led her to just we'll watch a whole scene, like not a single goddamn thing goes through. One of the reasons we're watching X-Files now and we're having such a good time watching X-Files is that we're grabbing it off iTunes and it has real subtitles built into it. Whereas every now and then we get a drama or we try and watch and there's shitty subtitles or no subtitling and we end up having to stop because like she's just not able to get over like the mumbling. And then I have to explain it and then we're pausing it and it's like a whole fucking thing.
Something that's really cool though is that people are like, once upon a time subtitles in America was like a bad word. It was just like something that would be a humongous like reason why foreign films might not take off because people
I
just
still
like, "Fuck
think
this."
that is absolutely the case.
It is, but it is slowly changing, it seems, with
I think so
more
too. Yeah.
people being mainstream anime watchers. And there was an article this week
Oh, no.
about like how Stranger Things has funny subtitles in season 4, so people are watching it with subtitles on and like enjoying it for the extra like comedic like effect of like squelching noises and stuff like that. Then there were just, and it was, you know, getting into the fact that like it's kind of starting to turn around, you know.
I was always under the impression that the reason why Americans in particular are so violently against subtitles is that a significant portion of them don't know how to read.
Well, there's that.
I'm not going to comment on any of this.